December 1958. A rocket sits on a launch pad in Florida. Inside its nose cone is a small aluminum capsule, no bigger than a lunchbox. Inside that capsule is a monkey. She is about to go where no living creature has gone before, faster than any human has ever traveled, higher than any human has ever flown. Now picture another place, another time. Jaipur, India. Dawn breaks over an ancient temple. Pilgrims climb worn stone steps. They are not here to see a rocket. They are here to see monkeys, hundreds of them, living freely on the temple grounds. The pilgrims do not fear these animals. They bow to them, because to these people, this creature is not a test subject. It is a god. Two scenes, same animal, worlds apart. We have launched this creature into space. We have opened its body on operating tables to save our own children. We have knelt before it as a living deity. And yet, in schoolyards and living rooms across the world, we still use its name as an insult. So which one is the lie? Because both cannot be true, not unless we have been refusing to look at something for a very long time. This is the history of monkeys. It is the pre-dawn hours, Cape Canaveral, Florida, 1958. A young army technician stands over a small capsule. His hands are not steady, not tonight. He has spent months with this animal. He has fed her by hand. He knows her small habits, her preferences, her moods. Tonight, none of that matters. Tonight, he has one job: tighten the last strap, seal the capsule, step back. He does not know if she will survive. Nobody does. Nothing built by human hands has ever survived what she is about to face. If the rocket fails, she dies, in front of a room full of men who have grown to care for her. Why a monkey? Why not a dog? Or a rabbit? Or a rat? The answer is simple. Her body is close enough to ours. Her heart, her lungs, her nervous system. Close enough that scientists can watch what happens to her and know what would happen to us. She is not just an animal in a capsule. She is a stand-in, a body double, for every human who might one day follow her into space. If you're wondering why we keep turning to this one animal every time human survival is on the line, stay with this story and consider subscribing to Origin Tales while we dig into it. Because this decision, to use this animal as our stand-in, was not made in 1958. It was made thousands of years earlier, in a temple, not a laboratory. Before we go further, we need to answer a simple question. What is a monkey? Really, not an ape. But that is the first mistake most people make. Monkeys and apes are not the same. There are over 260 species of monkey, split into two great families. Old World monkeys, found across Africa and Asia. They have tails, but they cannot hang from them. New World monkeys, found across Central and South America. Many of them grip branches with their tails, like a fifth hand. Here is the part that surprises people. Humans did not evolve from monkeys, not directly. Humans, apes, and monkeys share a common ancestor, one that lived tens of millions of years ago. That ancestor looked far more like a monkey than like us. Somewhere along the way, our branch split off. Theirs continued. That single, small correction has shaped centuries of jokes, centuries of mockery, aimed at an animal that was never quite what we assumed it was. We will come back to that. For thousands of years, in parts of the world, this animal was not mocked. It was worshipped. In Hindu tradition, there is a god named Hanuman, a monkey deity, immense strength, unshakable loyalty, total devotion. In the great epic, the Ramayana, Hanuman crosses oceans. He moves mountains, all in service of Lord Rama. He is one of the most widely worshipped gods in India, even today. Picture a temple priest at Galtaji, the monkey temple, just outside Jaipur. He rises before sunrise. He begins his ritual. Bells ring across the temple grounds, and they come, hundreds of rhesus macaques, descending from the cliffs above. He is not afraid. He has fed this troop since he was a boy. He knows them by scar, by temperament, by name almost. This is not a job to him. It is inheritance. His family has done this for generations. His stakes are not survival. They are something deeper, continuity. What happens to 500 years of tradition if the animals stop coming, if the world outside stops believing? This reverence was never isolated to one country. Ancient Egyptian art shows baboons linked to the god Thoth. Across Japan, across Mesoamerica, monkeys appear again and again as symbols of wisdom, of mischief, of the divine. For thousands of years, in some parts of the world, this animal was untouchable, in the most sacred sense of the word. In other parts of the world, at almost the exact same time, it was becoming something else entirely. A punchline. By the 19th century, something had shifted. European naturalists began encountering primates through a colonial lens, often a deeply prejudiced one, and monkey became a weapon, used against entire groups of people, a slur dressed up as science. This is an ugly thread. We are not going to look away from it. Then came Charles Darwin. In 1859, he published On the Origin of Species. Here is what people got wrong, almost immediately. Darwin never said humans evolved from monkeys. He never claimed that. But the implication was enough. Shared ancestry with any primate. To many, that felt like a demotion, a wound to human pride. That anxiety did not stay quiet. It exploded into the open in 1925. Tennessee, a courtroom. A school teacher stood trial. His crime? Teaching evolution to his students. The world called it the monkey trial. By the end of it, monkey was no longer just an animal's name. It was shorthand for something threatening, something undignified, something to be laughed at or feared. Ask yourself something. When someone calls another person a monkey as an insult, what are they actually accusing them of? Hold on to that question. We will come back to it. Pittsburgh, early 1950s, a laboratory, late at night. A researcher stands over rows of glass trays. Inside them, kidney cells, harvested from rhesus monkeys. He has been here for hours. He will be here for many more. Outside these walls, a disease is spreading. Polio. It does not care who it touches. It paralyzes children. It kills them. Thousands, every single year. He is part of Jonas Salk's team, and he knows something critical. These monkey cells are the only viable way to grow the polio virus safely, at the scale they need. Every tray in front of him matters. Every one represents a possibility, a chance. Because a few miles from this lab, hospital wards are filled with iron lungs, machines that breathe for children whose bodies no longer can. This is not academic work. This is a race. By 1955, the Salk vaccine begins to change everything. A disease that terrified parents for generations starts to disappear, and it could not have happened without this animal. Rhesus monkeys gave their name to something else too, the Rh blood factor, vital to safe transfusions, safe pregnancies, ever since. They contributed to yellow fever vaccines, to early HIV research, to organ transplant science decades later. Think about what that means. This animal had now been elevated to something almost unbearable in its contradiction. Sacred enough to worship, similar enough to save human children from paralysis, and still casually thrown around as the lowest insult in our vocabulary. That contradiction was about to reach its breaking point in the most public way imaginable. 1959, two monkeys make history. Abel, a rhesus monkey, Miss Baker, a squirrel monkey. They become the first living creatures to survive spaceflight and return home alive. The numbers are almost impossible to picture. 10,000 miles per hour, 38 times the pull of gravity, pressing down on their small bodies. They survive it, all of it. Newspapers cannot get enough. Their photos run on front pages across the country. Abel appears on the cover of Life magazine. For a brief, strange moment, she is more famous than most human astronauts will ever be. Now picture the same technicians who trained her, who spent months at her side, who celebrated her survival with real, genuine relief. Days later, they are standing in an operating room. A small medical electrode, implanted for the mission, needs to be removed. It is supposed to be routine, simple, safe. It is not. Abel dies on that operating table, a reaction to the anesthesia. Nothing more dramatic than that, nothing heroic about it at all. 4 days. That is all the time between her surviving one of the most dangerous journeys any living creature had ever attempted and dying on an ordinary table for an ordinary procedure. The animal that had briefly become a national hero, celebrated in headlines as proof of what was possible, was gone, almost as quickly as she had arrived. Would you have signed off on that surgery, knowing what we know now? Tell me honestly, in the comments below, because this is the exact moment where reverence and disposability collided. And it did not go the way anyone expected. Modern science has given us a number, a hard, undeniable fact. Humans share a striking majority of their DNA with rhesus macaques, one of the most studied monkeys on Earth. That number explains everything we have just seen. It explains why their bodies worked as stand-ins for hours, in medicine, in space travel, for over half a century. This closeness is not history. It is happening right now. Monkeys remain central to neuroscience today, to vaccine testing, to gene editing research, at the cutting edge of science. It is the same logic that put Abel in that capsule in 1958. Still running, still true. Here is what should give you pause. Every time we needed a body that could stand in for a human one, we did not reach for a lion, or an eagle, or any of the animals we love to mythologize as noble and majestic. We reached for this one. That was never an accident. Today, at Galtaji and at Hanuman temples across India, the same species once flown to the edge of space, once opened up on laboratory tables, is still fed by hand each and every morning, still seen as a living link to the divine. At the very same time, in ordinary conversation, across much of the world, monkey remains a casual insult for clumsiness, for foolishness, for being lesser than. Almost nobody making that joke stops to think about it. Almost nobody connects that word to the same animal whose cells may run through a vaccine sitting in their own bloodstream. So let's finally answer the question we asked earlier. We were never laughing at something beneath us. We were laughing at the closest living mirror we had access to. And mockery has always been easiest to aim at whatever looks a little too much like ourselves. A rocket nose cone, a temple staircase, 2 images, 1 animal, the entire time. A hero's headline in 1959, an insult muttered in a schoolyard decades later. Still the same animal. The truth we have refused to admit was never that we descended from monkeys. It is this: we never stopped needing them to be almost exactly like us. Close enough to save our children, close enough to survive spaceflight in our place, close enough to worship as a god wearing fur instead of skin. We built our own survival on top of that closeness. And then we spent centuries pretending the distance between us was bigger than it ever really was. It was not. It never was. If this is the kind of history you want more of, stories hiding in plain sight, behind animals we think we already understand, subscribe to Origin Tales and tell us in the comments which animal deserves this treatment next.